Hey Virtual High School. In this video, we will be talking about ACT math, as well as some strategies for test anxiety, which is where we are going to start. It is normal to be anxious before a test, but it's also not exactly fun. So on the ACT Canvas course, you will find a whole page of test anxiety strategies. You're welcome to look through these and find one that works for you. Want to point out one of them, which is number 2, try a breathing technique. If you're sitting there nervous before the test, this is something that you can do and nobody will know that you are doing it. My favorite breathing technique is this one, 4-7-8. I use it when I get nervous. And the way it works is this: breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 7, and then breathe out through your nose for 8 counts. The reason that works is because your exhale is longer than your inhale, and that helps calm your body down. Do it 3 times and see how you feel. There are all sorts of other techniques on here as well that you can look at. And of course, if you feel like you're experiencing anxiety, we are all here for you, and you can message our counselor if you need some help with that too. Now let's get to the math portion. First up, let's talk about the math section. The math section has 60 questions in 60 minutes. So timing, you're looking at a minute per question. There are all sorts of different types of questions on there. Everything from middle school math on up is fair game. You do get a calculator and lots of scrap paper in the form of writing on your test booklet if you're taking it on paper, or if you're taking it on computer, you do get scratch paper. They do have a calculator policy, so you can go to our ACT Canvas course and click here for the calculator policy. Let's talk math strategies. So when it comes to math, you really have to decide, what do you need to focus on? Do you need to focus on your speed, your content? Are you looking at errors? Do you need to focus on one portion of the test? And that really depends on what your score range goal is. If you're looking for a 21 on the ACT, you can focus on the first section of the test, of the math test, and that's because the math test actually gets progressively harder, and most people don't know this. Question 1 is going to be a lot easier than question 60. The first 40 questions are typically the easier ones, especially if you've had through Algebra 2. If you haven't taken pre-calculus, I would recommend that you focus most of your effort on this first section, the first 40 questions. The last 20 questions are more difficult. So if you've taken Algebra 2, pre-calc or higher, make sure you budget your time to include this section. Now, let me come to the daisy and the bomb. In the first 40 questions, expect 1 or 2 really hard questions, aka the bomb. In the last 20 questions, expect 1 or 2 easy questions, aka the daisy. So just because you are looking to get a 21 or higher on the ACT doesn't mean you should only do the first 40 questions. You should obviously go through and do as many as you possibly can. So that being said, if you get to a question on the math test and you're like, wow, I have absolutely no idea what this is or how to do it, skip it. Go find the next question, see if you can do it. It's probably easier and you're gonna get more questions right for your time. Which brings us to timing. Take a timed practice test. If you are focusing on your speed so that you can get more questions right, you need to practice that speed. Also, while you are practicing, look at that practice test and notice, what types of questions are you getting correct? What type are you getting incorrect? Maybe there's some content that you need to review. For example, maybe you missed a lot of questions about the unit circle. You should go over and review that. There are certain things that the ACT will have on there. Let's take a look at this ACT formula sheet. Now, this formula sheet, that does not mean you get to use this on the test, but it's a review sheet for you. So here's some ideas, and you can look through here on the ACT Canvas course of things that you can review that will most likely be on the test. So make sure you review that, see how you're feeling about it. Also on our ACT Canvas course, you will find Kaplan's top 10 ACT math tips. I'm quickly going to talk about some of these, but make sure you take your time and read through these before the test. There are all sorts of different ways to solve math questions, so find some methods that work for you. There's some options here listed. Some other good tips: translate your words into math. If it has a whole big word problem on it, use those key words that help you know, like of means to multiply. Know your properties. Some properties are going to really help you. Properties about odds, evens, prime numbers, order of operations, and also from there, just other general rules or things that you should know, like the 30, 60, 90 triangles, 45, 45 rules. SOHCAHTOA, what does that mean? Pythagorean theorem. Make sure you know those things because it's gonna save you time on test dates. Speaking of geometry questions, if you see a figure on the test, most of the time, not always, most of the time, you can go straight to that figure, especially if there's like a question mark in there. You're probably solving for that question mark, so you can save yourself some time on there. On our ACT Math module, you'll see 3 different math practices on there, an easy, medium, and difficult. Take some time and go through these and see how you're doing with each one. How are you doing with the easy, medium, and difficult problems? If you find some content that you need to review, we have some ACT interactive math practice here for you as well. So a quick recap of the ACT Math section. You are looking at 60 questions in 60 minutes. You only have to get 50% of those correct, though, in order to get a 21. Do you need to focus on speed, content? Are you making a lot of errors? Think about that and use that to tailor your studying for it. Also, it might be a good idea to look at some calculator programs. If you have your own calculator, you can program your calculator. Now, double check on the ACT website what is and is not allowed. Don't forget the ACT Math section does get more difficult as you go along, especially after question number 40. If you see a geometry problem, go straight to the diagram, especially if there is a question mark, and take some time to review your content knowledge. This is a heavy content-based section, and it will definitely do you good to review that content knowledge. Our tip of the day was if you're nervous, you're feeling some test anxiety, try a breathing technique. Anything where you're taking some slow, deep breaths is really going to help you out. All right, thanks for listening, Virtual High School, to ACT Math. Check out our Canvas course for more information, and come to ACT Tutoring where we can help you individually get your ACT Math score higher.